Hello, lovely people. Today we are going to look at inverse function. Welcome back once again to my channel. Let's solve a problem of inverse function involving exponential graphs and see what it generates as the inverse. The question says we should sketch the graph of g of x equals to 3 exponent x minus x. So, for every graph, we have the process. For this is the function that was given. So, we check for exponential graphs, we check for the asymptotes, we check for x and y intercept, and we check for the shape. If it is a positive, it goes from the positive quadrant to the other side. If it is a negative, it goes from the negative quadrant to the other side. So here, first of all, the form of this is ax plus q, where q represents our horizontal asymptotes. So in this case, our horizontal asymptote is -3. That is the first thing we represent. So if we have -2, -4, let's choose a scale. Remember, the scale must be uniform. Now, draw a dotted line that represents your horizontal asymptote at y equals to -3. And then we check if we have x and y intercepts. For y-intercept, to calculate y-intercept, remember make x 0. So we have y equals 3 exponent 0 minus 1. Anything to the exponent of 0 is 1. So we have 1 minus 3 is -2. So our y-intercept will be at -2. Let's also check if we have x-intercepts. For x-intercepts, make y 0. So this is what we're going to do. In the expression we have y becomes 0, plus 3 exponent x minus 3. If we collect like terms, we have 3. The exponent of this is 1. If the bases are the same and they are separated by an equality sign, drop the bases and take the exponent. So our x-intercept is 1, 0. Our y-intercept is 0 and -2. So we have our y-intercept at 1 and 0. So we can have our exponential graph. We can have our exponential graph, which is the graph of g. Now, the second question is asking us to write down the equation of the inverse and then sketch the graph of the inverse on the same set of axes. Let's see how we go about this. We have completed the exponential graph. So the inverse, we have y equals 3 exponent x minus 3. The inverse of g will be the first approach. Remember the approach? Swap x and y. That's the first thing. Swap x and y in your given equation. So we will have this -3. Then make y the subject formula. So if we have 3y, we will have x minus x plus 3 coming over. But we want y to be the subject formula, not 3 exponent y. So this is giving us an exponent which cannot be easily solved using exponent. That is when we go into logarithm. The laws of logarithm says that the base of the exponent becomes the base of the log. So the base of the exponent here will become the base of the log of the value here. So this is the inverse function of g. This represents the inverse function of g. What do? Let's go about sketching the graph. Like I told you earlier on, there are also two ways of doing this. If you don't want to go through the process of solving the values for x in every stage to get this, remember the inverse inverts everything. Okay? The inverse inverts everything. Let's look at this. If we have 1 and 0 as our x-intercepts, we can change this to become 0 and 1. That means x-intercept becomes y-intercept. X-intercept becomes y-intercept. On this other side, we have 0 and -2. I'm showing you the fastest way of doing this. Alternatively, you can solve in for x and punch in your calculator to get the values where they are supposed to be. Now, 0 and -2 will become -2 and 0 because the process of getting the inverse is swapping x and y. So with this, I can sketch my new graph. X and y, the new graph, this is the inverse of g. This is g. So the inverse is 0. When x is 0, y is 1. When x is -2, y is 0. What else do I need to swap? I need to swap my asymptote. Asymptote here is at -3 of y. So how do I also swap my asymptote? It becomes at -3 of x. You see everything, I'm swapping x and y. The y value here becomes the x value. So I will have my asymptote. Now, for the non-linear graph on x equals to -3. So this is the fastest approach. Get all the coordinates, swap them around, swap x and y value, and you will definitely get your graph. So the graph of this non-linear function will be this. So this is the inverse of g. And this is how we sketch the graph of the inverse of exponential functions. Please continue to share my video. Continue to encourage your friends to subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.